Hey guys, how's it going? Oliver Moran here, and today I thought I'd do a video of how I pack my triple XL Supercross MV frame into a bike bag for travel. I just finished up the first World Cup in Sarrions, rounds 1 and 2, and traveling to Papendal now. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown on my weekend, and while I'm at it, let's pack the bike. The goal of this is to get this thing into my golf bag. So first I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down, make sure it's nice and clean. Cleaned it before my last race so it's not too dirty. And then start taking it apart. So Sarrions was very dusty. So the bike doesn't necessarily need clean. It just needs a good wipe down. Put my protection on my bike, just a sleeve, and then I am going to take wheels, pedals, forks and bars off because the bike's so long it needs to kind of go diagonal in the bag. So yeah, let's do that. So that is my sleeve that I put on the bike, Kendo's. Keeps it safe. So first I'm going to take my brake out so it will sit nicer. And then I'll take my bars, forks out, and then it's good to go into the bag. But while I'm doing this, I guess I can tell you a little bit about my weekend. First race of the UCI World Cup series. It was my first time racing in the elite category. Stepping it up from U23 last year. And I felt like I did okay. First day I got into the semi-final, so a top 16 finish is not too bad for my first run, and was riding smart and made the most of the opportunities that were given to me throughout race day. And then today, yeah, another big day of racing, pretty tired. But yeah, got into the quarterfinal and then just got pinched out of the start and couldn't really make much of it, and finished 6th, I believe. So that's when my day ended. Got another weekend in Papendal in just a week's time, so that should be good. Finally got that bolt out. It's quite long. And then bars off, that's gonna go, I'll show you how that attaches to the bike. And then what I like to do with this, I take everything out and I put it just back onto the fork. Ooh, let me take my front wheel off first because that will be hard to do without. To just have it loose so it can come off. And yeah, so this comes off. And then I put this just back on here so I won't lose it. I wrap this in a nice clean cloth and then put an elastic band around it. this back on, remember what you had on top and below your headset, your stem. So your bike's the same when you put it back together on the other end. And then I just put this back in. And voila. So I have bike, just back wheel, pedals off, front wheel goes in at the end. Let's put that over there. And then I have handlebars not attached, brakes come off. Pedals will go in at the end. Forks and the through axle. So now let me show you how I fit this long bike in this little bag. Alright, so I get my skid lid, half face, half whatever you like to call this little helmet, and I use it to go on my bike like that to protect my headset. I find that's works really well, never had any problems, and then it's an easy way to fit that in your helmet bag as just protection, and then you can use it when you're at the track. Fun little fact. So I get my bars, I just like to wrap that up so there's no chance of it scratching, and then I bring my bike, and this fits underneath my crank and kind of sits just there like that. So it sits nice and flush, and then that lays down on the ground, sits in there like a puzzle piece. But what I do like to do is make sure there's a little bit covering your crank and your plate, just so there's no scratching. And that's gonna go straight in. So first, before I forget, just a little bit of air out of your tire. Don't need to do too much because it's only a domestic flight, and don't go too high so the pressure doesn't really change too much. But just don't have them rock hard or they will explode. And then, alright, so you can probably see the bike doesn't quite fit in the whole bag. So this is where a little bit of playing around with it, make it fit, comes in. That goes over the helmet and the bars, and then I usually like to put this to the right side so there's room for the chain, what do you call it? The sprocket. Make sure this is, the inside is out. So now the bike's just sitting on top of the handlebars, there's nothing poking at it, and it's sitting nice and flush. Now, so with the forks, I just like to wrap these up, make sure that doesn't come undone. Always travel with spare grease because it does dry it out. And that just sits this way in between the forks and the seat. What I like to do to save weight without having to pack heaps of stuff, I get my pads and I just protect the fork. They're carbon, so you want to be extra careful with them. With my pads, then they go in between there, and they sit there nice and flush. Strap the bike in. So we've got the forks, we've got the bars and the frame all strapped in nice and tight now, so they can't rattle or move, and now we're just going to make them nice and protected by putting some stuff around them. Make sure that's pushed to the right so that fits, because we don't want the chainring being far left and bending the sprockets, sorry. So let's add the last of it. Pedals go there in that little space. This is just my bag from the weekend. Seat sits there. This is an awkward one, so it's always weird to put it in, but it sits nicely just there. And then I have some clothes to go in. I usually just put my pedals in the side compartment, if I can open it. And also, a little reminder, I keep my tools, oh, that's a snack, in my helmet bag. Grease, chain lube, all this stuff. Make sure you put that in your bike bag, because sometimes they're a bit funny in customs. So there you go. So there you have it. Now I just got to add some clothes, put the clothes around just the points where you think there's a chance of it being hit or damaged from the baggage people who use the plane. Kind of got to imagine that the bike's going to get thrown around, so try to protect it as much as you can for that aspect. And then, yeah, you're good to go. So I'm just going to do the final parts, put my clothes in. I've got some dirty clothes just waiting on the laundry to be finished. And then, yeah, all you gotta do is go travel. So I put my wheel in at the end, I'll show you that, and then I'm done. Now I can go to bed and rest up for another week of racing next week. So last bit, got my clothes in there, just my race kit, casual wear. Gonna put this in after I take some air out. And then just for the final little bit of protection, I put my pad there, just because that will be getting stuff thrown on it. And kind of do the test, shake it around a bit, see if there's any metal touching. Can't really hear too much. So she's good to go. And then just hope that that's 23 kilos for this connecting flight. And yeah, so to take away something from here, the longer bike, take off those forks, put it on an angle, make sure you keep it away from the chainring, because the sprocket, because we don't want that bending, and just be wary of where you place things, because it's going to get thrown around. Things are going to be laying on top of it, so make sure there's just no pressure points where it's going to dig into your frame and break it. And if you're seeing this now, I don't know when it's going to come out, and I have Papendal next week, so hopefully that can go well and get some better results than this week. Although a quarter-final finish and a semi-final finish for my first World Cup in Elite is not too bad. I'm pretty happy with, but I know I can do better. And yeah, hope this was useful in some kind of way. Make sure you clean your bike before you pack it away, because there's nothing worse than getting home after a weekend of traveling or a big travel and you get into a new race, and then when you unpack it all ready to go, one less job to do. Get it all done when you can, because it's going to have to get done at some point. Anyway, have a good one, and like and subscribe to this video. Go buy something from the Supercross channel, Supercross website, because stuff's good. Have a good one, guys. Miss American Pie with the high IQ. Oh my, I do. Just fly right through. We'll get high as the kite in the afternoon. 'Cause I know what What are you doing, Ollie? backdrop. Oversized.
Take a guess on how much it's gonna weigh.
I'm gonna say 28 kilos, supposed to be 23.
28. Okay, let's see.
The moment of truth. The suspense. It's killing me.
You should have worn pants. Is there any bruises? Scars?
Can't make up its mind. All we know is it's heavy. Now we hope we see it in Amsterdam.